Hi, you are watching Satellite Communication Lecture Series. Today we are going to speak about multiple access. A transponder channel aboard a satellite may be fully loaded by a single transmission from an earth station. This is called as a single access mode of operation. It is also possible and more common for a transponder to be loaded by a number of carriers, and these may originate from a number of earth stations geographically separate, and each earth station may transmit one or more of the carriers, and this mode of operation is called as multiple access. The need for multiple access arises because more than two earth stations in general will be within the service area of a satellite. Even so-called spot beams from a satellite antennas cover areas several hundred miles across. The two most commonly used multiple access techniques are frequency division multiple access (FDMA) and time division multiple access (TDMA). These are analogous to the FDM and TDM. However, multiple access and multiplexing are different concepts. And as pointed, modulation and multiplexing is essentially a transmission feature, where multiple access is essentially a traffic feature. Okay. And a third category called code division multiple access is also available. In this method, each signal is associated with a particular code that is used to spread the signal in frequency and time. All such signals will be received simultaneously at an earth station, but by using the key to the code, the station can recover the desired signals by means of correlation. The other signals occupying the transponder channel appear very much like random noise to the correlation decoder. Multiple access may be classified by the way in which the circuits are assigned to the users. Circuit in this context implies one communication channel through the multiple access transponders. Circuits may be pre-assigned, which means that they are allocated on a fixed or partially fixed basis to certain users, and these circuits are therefore not available for the general use. Pre-assignment is simple to implement but is efficient only for the circuits with continuous heavy traffic. And an alternative to pre-assignment is DAMA, demand assigned multiple access. In this method, all circuits are available to all users and are assigned according to the demand. DAMA results in more efficient overall use of the circuits, but is more costly and complicated to implement. Both FDMA and TDMA can be operated and as pre-assigned or demand-assigned systems. CDMA is the random access systems, there being no control over the timing of the access or of the frequency slots accessed. And these multiple access methods refer to the way in which the single transponder channel is utilized. A satellite carries a number of transponders, and normally each covers a different frequency channel, and this provides a form of TDMA to the whole satellite. And it is also possible for transponders to operate at the same frequency but to be connected to different spot beam antennas. These allow the satellite as a whole and these to be accessed by the earth station widely separated by geographically but transmitting on the same frequency, and this is called as frequency reuse. And this method of access is referred as space division multiple access, that is SDMA. And it should be kept in mind that each spot beam may itself be carrying signals in one of the other multiple access formats. Okay. So you can call it as multiple access is the ability for a several earth stations to transmit their respective carriers simultaneously in the same satellite transponder. So these are the types of multiple access as I said earlier: FDMA, TDMA, CDMA and DAMA. Now let us have a brief look of TDMA and FDMA. Here, each user is allowed to transmit only within a specified time intervals. That is, different users transmit data in different time slots. And when users transmit, they occupy the whole frequency bandwidth, and separation along users is performed in the time domain. And in TDMA frame structure as shown here, TDMA requires a centralized control node whose primary function is to transmit a periodic reference burst that defines a frame and forces a measure of synchronization of all the users. The frame so defined is divided into time slots, and each user is assigned a time slot in which to transmit the information. So these are the TDMA frame structures. So each user has each time slot. For example, the users are differentiated with different colors. So this user is allotted this time, and user 2 is allotted the next time slot after user 1, and user 3 that is shown in the green color is allotted for the next slot. Okay. And since each traffic burst is transmitted independently with an uncertain phase relations relative to the reference burst, there is the need for the preamble at the beginning of each traffic burst. The preamble allows the receiver to acquire on the top of the course synchronization provided by the reference burst a fine estimate of the timing and carrier phase. And the next what we are seeing is frequency division multiple access. Here each user transmits with no limitations in time but using only a portion of the whole available frequency bandwidth. Different users are separated in the frequency domain. That is what is called the frequency domain multiplex access. Here is a comparison of FDMA and TDMA. Frequency division is very simple. All transmitters sharing the medium have output pass spectra in non-overlapping bands, and many of the problems experienced in TDMA due to different propagation delays are eliminated in FDMA. The major disadvantage of FDMA is the relatively expensive and complicated bandpass filters are required. TDMA is realized primarily with much cheaper logic functions. Another advantage of FDMA is the rather strictly linearity requirement of the medium. And this diagram shows the comparison of all the multiple access techniques. That is, FDMA is shown here, TDMA is here, and CDMA is here. In CDMA, each user is assigned a unique code sequencing. That is the spreading code which it uses to encode its data signal. The receiver, knowing the code sequence of the user, decodes the received signal and recovers the original data. The bandwidth of the coded signal is chosen to be much larger than the bandwidth of the original data signal. That is, the encoding process enlarges the spectrum of all data signals. CDMA is based on the spread spectrum modulation. If multiple users transmit spread spectrum signals at the same time, the receiver will be able to distinguish between users provided that each user has a unique code that has sufficiently low cross correlation with the other codes. And in DAMA, all circuits are available to all users and are assigned according to the demand. And DAMA results in more efficient and overall use of the circuit, but is more costly and complicated to implement. Both FDMA and TDMA can be operated as pre-assigned and demand-assigned system, whereas the CDMA is a random access technique and there being no control over the timing of the access or of the frequency slots accessed. Now let us move on to FDMA. And in pre-assigned FDMA, frequency slots may be pre-assigned to analog or digital signals. And consider an analog signals in the FDMA, FDM, FM, FDMA format. Assuming each earth station transmits a 60-channel supergroup, then each 60-channel supergroup is then frequency modulated onto a carrier, which is then up-converted into a frequency in the satellite uplink band. So here the figure shows the situation for 3 earth stations. One is Ottawa, and one is New York, and one in London. All 3 earth stations access the single satellite transponder channel simultaneously, and each communicates with both of the others. Each earth station transmits one uplink carrier modulated with a 60-channel supergroup and receives 2 similar downlink carriers. And the earth station at New York is shown in more detail here. This is the earth station of one station. One transmit chain is used, and this carries the telephone traffic for both Ottawa and London. On the receive side, 2 receive chains must be provided, one for the Ottawa originated carrier and one for the London originated carrier. Okay. And thus it is assumed that the satellite receive and transmit antenna beams are global, encompassing all three earth stations. Each earth station transmits one uplink carrier modulated with a 60-channel supergroup and receives two similar downlink carriers. Okay. And each of these carriers will have a mixture of traffic. In the demultiplexing unit, only those telephonic channels intended for New York are passed through. These are remultiplexed into FDM and FM format, which is transmitted out along the terrestrial line to the New York switching office. And this diagram shows the hypothetical frequency assignment scheme of the hypothetical network. Here, uplink carrier frequencies of 6253 and 6273 and 6278 megahertz are shown here. For the satellite transponder arrangement, these carriers would be translated down to frequency of 4028, 4048 and 4053 megahertz and sent to transponder 9 of the satellite. Typically, a 60-channel FDM-FM carrier occupies 4 megahertz transponder bandwidth including guard bands. A total frequency allowance of 15 megahertz is therefore required for the 3 stations, and each station receives all the traffic. The remainder of the transponder bandwidth may be unused or it may be occupied by other carriers which are not shown. So, as an example of pre-assignment, suppose that each station can transmit up to 60 voice circuits, and that 40 of these are pre-assigned to the New York and London route. And if these 40 circuits are fully loaded, additional calls on the New York and London route will be blocked, even though they may be idle circuits on other pre-assigned routes. Telesat Canada operates medium road message facilities utilizing FDM, FM and FDME. Here, this diagram shows how 5 carriers may be used to support 168 voice channels. The earth station that carries the full load has the G by T of 37.5 dB per Kelvin, and the other 4 have G by T of 28 dB per Kelvin. Pre-assignment may also be made on the basis of the single channel per carrier SCPC, and this refers to a single voice channel per carrier and not a transponder channel, which may in fact carry some hundreds of voice channels by this method. The carriers may be frequency modulated or phase shift modulated, and an earth station may be capable of transmitting one or more SCPC signals simultaneously. So this diagram shows Intelsat SCPC channeling scheme for a 36 megahertz transponder. The transponder bandwidth is subdivided into, here you can see, okay. The transponder bandwidth is subdivided into 800 channels, each of 45 kilohertz. And the 45 kilohertz, which includes a guard band which is required for each digitized voice channel, which utilizes quadrature phase shift keying modulation. The channel information signal may be digital data or PCM voice signals. A pilot frequency is transmitted for the purpose of the frequency control, and the adjacent channel slots on either side of the pilot are left vacant to avoid interference. The scheme therefore provides a total of 798 one-way channels or up to 399 full duplex voice circuits. In duplex operation, the frequency pairs are separated by 18.045 MHz. The frequency tolerance relative to the assigned values is within plus or minus 1 kHz for the received SCPC carrier and must be within plus or minus 250 Hz for the transmitted SCPC carrier. The pilot frequency is transmitted by one of the earth station designated as a primary station, and this provides a reference for automatic frequency control. And in the event of the failure of primary station, the pilot frequency is transmitted from a designated backup station. An important feature of Intelsat SCPC system is that each channel is voice activated. This means that on a two-way telephone conversation, only one carrier is operative at any one time. Also, in long passes between speech, the carriers are switched off, and it has been estimated that for telephone calls, the one-way utilization time is 40% of the call duration. Using voice activation, the average number of carriers being amplified at one time by the transponder traveling wave tube is reduced. For a given level of intermodulation distortion, the TWT output power output per FDME carrier therefore can be increased. SCPC systems are widely used on lightly loaded roads, and this type of service is being used as thin road service. It enables remote earth stations and sparsely populated areas to connect the national telephone network in a reasonably economical way. A main earth station is used to make the connection to the telephone network, as you can see in this diagram. Okay, and the Telesat Canada thin route message facilities provide up to 360 two-way circuits using PSK SCPC. PSK means phase shift keying. Okay, and the remote terminals operate with 4.6 meter diameter antennas with GBT values of 19.5 and 21 dB per Kelvin. Transportable terminals are also available, one of these being shown in this figure. And this is a single channel station that uses a 3.6 meter antenna and comes complete with a desktop electronics package which can be installed on the consumer's practices. Thank you.